So today we're going to dive into this really wild story. It's about a high school janitor who, get this, had perfect attendance for 20 years and then one day just vanished. And what his principal found? Well, it pretty much flips everything we think we know about consistency and willpower right on its head. So we'll just call him John. For more than 2 decades, this guy was the absolute picture of consistency. But that one day he didn't show up, it wasn't because he was sick, it wasn't an accident. No, it pulled back the curtain on this secret system he'd been building for years. A system that basically made being consistent inevitable. So when the principal finally found him, the guy was literally surrounded by thousands, and I mean thousands, of pages of notes. And these weren't just, random thoughts. They were a super detailed manual for a system he'd figured out. A system that basically makes willpower obsolete. And this, right here, is what makes this whole story so powerful. The person who first told this story, they admitted they felt just like, well, most of us, right? You start something super strong. You buy the gym membership, you launch that new project, and then within a week, all that motivation just, poof, it's gone. And what's left is that terrible, familiar feeling of guilt. And this brings us to the core idea, the big paradox that John's notes uncovered. We've all been taught that being consistent is all about gritting your teeth and just pushing through, right? Well, John's discovery, which is actually backed by a ton of neuroscience, proves that's completely backward. Yeah, we always treat willpower like it's this muscle we can just keep working out. But researchers like Dr. Wendy over at USC, they found it's actually more like a phone battery. It has a limited charge each day, and every single decision you force yourself to make, it just drains that battery. So the most consistent people, they don't have bigger batteries. They just stop draining them. They're relying on something totally different. And that something else is a little thing called automaticity. It's basically your brain's genius little hack for saving energy. It takes something you do over and over and turns it into this unconscious program that just runs on its own. Think about it. It's like breathing or walking. You don't decide to do it, right? It just happens. And John's own words from his notes, they just capture this perfectly. He wrote that he got to a point where going to work wasn't even a choice anymore. The whole thing was so deeply programmed that not doing it would have actually taken more mental energy than just letting the program run. Wild, right? Okay, so the big question is, how do you actually build this stuff? Because you can't just force a habit to happen. Well, John stumbled onto this really simple 3-step system that kind of builds the habit for you, almost without you even noticing. But here's the kicker. The order is absolutely 100% critical. So the system has 3 steps. First, an incredibly easy start. Second, you attach the next behavior. And third, you let momentum do the rest. Now, the key insight here is that most of us try to do this completely backwards. We try to start with all this momentum that we just don't have, and we fail. John's method, though, it starts at the very, very beginning with a first step that is so easy it's almost silly. And this is the absolute genius of it. He didn't commit to going to work. He didn't even commit to leaving his house. For a whole week, his one and only goal was just to put on his work shoes at exactly 5:47 a.m. That's it. It sounds completely ridiculous, I know, but what he was doing was training his brain. He was telling it, hey, when this time comes, in this exact spot, just do this one tiny thing. And the person telling this story, they applied the exact same logic to working out. The commitment wasn't go to the gym, which can feel like a huge task. Nope, it was just put on workout clothes. That's all. And after only a few days, that tiny little action became automatic, and it created the foundation for everything that came next. But making the start super easy is only one piece of the puzzle. John's notes revealed this other crucial element, something that most habit advice just completely ignores. It's not about having more discipline, it's about needing less of it. John was absolutely obsessed with this idea. He totally got that every single decision you have to make, no matter how small, is a potential exit ramp, a place where you can just quit. Things like choosing your clothes, finding your keys, figuring out which route to take. He went through and systematically eliminated every single one of them. And this shows you exactly what he meant. Before, the path to the gym was just a minefield of little choices, right? Should I even work out today? What should I wear? Where are my shoes? Every single one of those questions is an exit ramp. It's a point of friction where your brain can just go, you know what? This is too much trouble. Let's just skip it today. So here's the huge paradigm shift. Stop blaming yourself for being undisciplined. A lack of consistency? It's not a character flaw. It's not a moral failing. It is a design flaw in your system, in your environment. You don't need to fix you need to fix your system. And this might be the most powerful idea in all of John's notes. He didn't track success or failure. He tracked energy. He tracked how much effort it took. So if going to work ever started to feel hard, he didn't just try to power through it. Nope. He saw that as a signal that something in his system was broken. So he'd find that point of friction and redesign it until it felt easy again.
But this is where the story takes a really fascinating, kind of strange turn. Because after years and years of running this system, John discovered something pretty profound and a little bit unsettling about what happens when a habit becomes truly, deeply automated.
Yeah, neuroscientists actually have a name for this. They call it the threshold of automaticity. And it's basically the point where the neural pathway for that habit gets so strong, so ingrained, that your conscious brain isn't even part of the decision anymore. Your body just runs the program. And you're basically just watching it happen. I mean, just think about that for a second. John, the most consistent employee you could possibly imagine. He admitted that for more than a decade, he didn't even feel like he was choosing to go to work. He felt like he was just along for the ride while his own automated system did all the driving. And this is the paradox, right? The big question that kind of haunted the people who studied his notes. We build these incredible systems to gain control over our lives and our actions. But what happens when they get so powerful that they just run without us, without our conscious say-so? Who's really in charge then? You know, the really unsettling part is that this isn't some weird, far-off sci-fi idea. Your life, right now, is already being guided by dozens of these automated systems. You probably didn't consciously decide to check your phone first thing this morning, or what you grabbed for breakfast. Your brain just ran the programs it's been taught. Which leaves us with this final and, I think, really provocative thought. The truth is, you are already a model of perfect consistency. You just might be perfectly consistent at the wrong things. So the real question isn't, how do I become consistent? The question is, how do you consciously take control and design the automated systems that are already running your life? Are your programs serving your goals, or are they serving someone else's?